I work with people that have dual sensory loss, helping them to live a meaningful life, things that mean something to them. So it might just be, you know, taking somebody to help them do their shopping because they've lost their sight, or, you know, and they can't read the labels anymore, so they need a guide. Or it could be supporting somebody through school or university, or just telling them what there is on their plate. It's so varied, you know. But for me, it's the same. It's the same thing. Helping somebody live a life that means something to them is really, really important. What's important to me might not be very important to you or somebody else. But you know, to be like, have a sense of who you are, and do things that mean something to you is what we're here for, really.
You make it sound very easy, but when you talk about dual sense loss, actually, what do you mean by that, and how do you help them?
It can mean lots of things. It's varied. You can have acquired deafblindness, which means you may well have been born and grown up as so-called normal as everybody else, but you've lost your sight through just either age-related things, or had an accident, or illness. You know, lots of things can cause deafblindness. So my help depends on the onset of their disability or impairment, when they had it, and how it's sort of manifests itself. So you could have somebody that was born deaf and blind, or you could have somebody that was born deaf but then later had a visual impairment. And when you have a dual sensory loss, it's a unique disability. It's not the same as just losing one sense, because you're usually, if you've lost one sense, then the other senses, you use them and you will rely on them to compensate for the one that you've lost. But when you lose both, what do you do, where do you go, you know, from there, sort of thing. And when we've had clients that have been born with sight and hearing, but have gradually lost both completely through illness or operation. Somebody had an operation, they were deaf, they were using the sign language. We knew they were going to have the operation. There was a chance that she would lose her sight completely, and she knew that. But she was ready, she wanted to go through the operation anyway. As it was, sadly, the operation didn't work, she lost her sight completely. So she wakes up from the anaesthetic with no hearing, no sight. The only thing she had was what we taught her to communicate with a tactile language before she had the operation. So she then had something to rely on. But that later went because of she lost sensation in her hands. And so we then had to think up another way of communicating with her. So she now has block letters that she can feel. And she helps the guide a lot by asking open questions where you can just say yes or no. So she's developed another language, totally tactile, to communicate with her guide because of necessity, because of what happened to her.